श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। कृष्णो रक्षतु नो जगत्त्रयगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्याम्यहम्। कृष्णेनाखिलशत्रवो विनिहताः कृष्णाय तस्मै नमः। कृष्णादेव समुत्थितं जगदिदं कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे तिष्ठति विश्वमेतदखिलं हे कृष्ण रक्षस्व माम्। कस्तूरीतिलकं ललाटपटले वक्षस्थले कौस्तुभं नासाग्रे वरमौक्तिकं करतले वेणुः करे कङ्कणं सर्वाङ्गे हरिचन्दनं च कलयन् कण्ठे च मुक्तावली। गोपस्त्रीपरिवेष्टितो विजयते गोपालचूडामणिः। बर्हापीठं नटवरवपुः कर्णयोः कर्णिकारं बिभ्रत् वासः कनककपिशं वैजयन्तीं च मालां। रन्ध्रान् वेणोः अधरसुधया पूरयन् गोपवृन्दैः बृन्दारण्यं स्वपदरमणं प्राविशद् गीतकीर्तिः। वन्दे कृष्णपदारविन्दयुगलं यस्मिन् कुरङ्गीदृशां वक्षोजप्रणयीकृते विलसति स्निग्धोऽङ्गरागस्वतः। काश्मीरं तलशोणिमोपरितनः कस्तूरिकां नीलिमां श्रीखण्डं नखचन्द्रकान्तिलहरी निर्व्याजमातन्वते। श्यामश्रीमधु यस्य मधु तत् कैशोरमत्यद्भुतं क्रीडा यस्य मधूनि यस्य च मधून्येकादशाक्षक्रियाः। माध्वी यस्य विलोकनाङ्गवजसां भङ्गी यदीयं वपु रूपं मध्वथ भूषणादि च मधु व्यामोहयेत्कं न सः। सङ्केतावसरेच्युते प्रणयतः समृद्धया राधया प्रारभ्य भ्रुकुटीं हिरण्यरसना दाम्ना निबद्धोदरम्। कार्तिक्यां जननीकृतोत्सववरप्रस्तावनापूर्वकं चाटूनि प्रथयन्दमात्तपुलकं ध्यायेम दामोदरम्। अस्ति स्वस्तरुणीकराग्रविलसत्कल्पप्रसूनाप्लुतं वस्तु प्रस्तुतवेणुनादलहरी निर्वाणनिर्व्याकुलं। स्रस्तस्रस्तनिबद्धनीविवलसद् गोपीसहस्रावृतं हस्तन्यस्तन तापवर्गमखिलोदारं किशोराकृतिः। मन्दं मन्दं मधुरनिनदैर्वेणुमापूरयन्दं बृन्दं बृन्दावनभुवि गवां चारयन्तं चरन्तं। छन्दोभागे शतमखमखध्वंसिनां दानवानां हन्तारं तं कथय रसने गोपकन्याभुजङ्गं। गोपालाङ्गदकर्दमे विहरसे विप्राध्वरे लज्जसे ब्रूषे गोशतहुङ्कृतैस्तुतिशतैः मौनं विधत्से सतां। दास्यं गोकुलसुन्दरीषु कुरुषे स्वाम्यं न दान्तात्मसु ज्ञातं कृष्ण तवाङ्घ्रिपङ्कजयुगं प्रेमैकलभ्यं परम्। राधादास्यमपास्य यः प्रयतते गोविन्दसङ्गाशया सोऽयं पूर्णसुधारुचेः परिचयं रागां विना काङ्क्षति। किञ्च श्यामरतिप्रवाललहरीबीजं नयेतां विदुः ते प्राप्यापि महामृताम्बुधिमहो बिन्दुं परं प्राप्नुयुः। निखिलभुवनलक्ष्मी नित्यलीलास्पदाभ्यां कमलविपिनवीथी गर्वसर्वङ्कषाभ्यां प्रणतभयदानप्रौढिगाढातृताभ्यां किमपि वहतु चेतः कृष्णपादाम्बुजाभ्यां। वंशीविभूषित करात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्ठात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय कृष्णाय क्लिष्टकारिणे नमो वेदान्तवेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ओम शिवाय गुरवे नमः। श्री गणेश शारदा गुरुभ्यो नमः। So in the last session, artha or the pursuit of wealth or name, form, securities for dharma was scrutinized, and it was concluded that arthasya dharmaikantasya, that dharma alone is the end of artha or wealth. In this verse, Suta inquires into the purpose of kama, the next purushartha, and determines that kama is for bhoga of annapanadi or of sustenance of life. That is the purpose of kama. So let us look at this 10th verse of the second chapter of the first canto. कामस्य नेन्द्रियः प्रीतिः लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः. That's a verse. Padacheda would be कामस्य न इंद्रिय प्रीतिः लाभः जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा न अर्थ यश्च इह कर्मभिः. So there is a padacheda. The anvaya would be yavata jiveta tavan kamasya labha indriya pritihi na yujyate jivasya tattva jijnasa arthaha iha yaha cha karmabhihi saha na. And the word to word meaning would be kamasya, of the desires, the possessive case, na, not, indriya pritihi, the satisfaction of the senses, the sense gratification, labhaha, gain, na, is not, jiveta, living, preserving oneself, yabata, so much so, jivasya, of the living being, tattva jijnasa, inquiry into tattva, the absolute truth, na, not, arthaha, ends like sargadi sukha, yaha cha iha, whatsoever else, karma bhihi, by activities you are trying to accomplish. So the meaning is, life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. Since the human being's life is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth, nothing else should be the goal of one's works. So the end of karma is not the gratification of the senses, but the benefit of karma is only to that extent to which it contributes to the support of life. The chief end of that life here is not the attainment of pleasures such as Swarga, known to be the result of work or pious rituals, but it is the desire to inquire into Tattvam, the truth. So that is what Sridhara also writes. Kamasya cha vishaya bhogasya indriya pritihi labha phalam nabhavati kintu yavata jiveta tavan eva kamasya labha जीवन पर्याप्तेव कामः सेव्यः इत्यर्थः. So, kama or desire is for bhoga of annapanadi. Jivana paryapteva kama sevyaha ityarthaha. That is what Sridhara writes. It is for the sustenance of life. But why does one have this kama or desire or desires? Is it for the sake of kama, desire, or is it for your own sake? We never do anything for the sake of others' happiness without some hidden agenda or self-interest. This may not be very obvious to the conscious mind. And propelled by this mistaken notion, we spend the entire life doing various actions thinking that we are selfless and it is the other person who is not selfless or who is self-centered. So this is very well explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, Dashamaskanda, Chadurdashadhyaya, 14th chapter, 54th verse. Tasmat priyatamaswatma sarveshamapi dehinam tadarthameva sagalam jagadedacharacharam. Tasmat, therefore, it is his own self, priyatamaha, that is most dear to everyone alive. And it is simply for the satisfaction of this self, tadartham eva, the entire world exists. Sakalam jagat characharam asti. Then, if it is the self is what we gain in every little joy, why does it seem to not stay and serve us? It doesn't serve us because the mind is still the same conditioned mind with all its vasanas, which is picked up over a very long period of time and which do not just drop away at once. The Shastra mentions the removal of vasana for gaining purity of the mind or antahkarana shuddhi. These vasanas are Vishaya Vasana, Deha Vasana, and Shastra Vasana. So the attraction for an object, an external object, a Vishaya, thinking that it can give me happiness, is a projection of mind. By vichara or inquiry, one has to remove this and gain purity of mind. Similarly, the thought that I am this body, that is known as Deha Vasana. It has to be removed again by inquiry. A preoccupation for the study of Shastras other than self-inquiry is called as Shastra Vasana. This can distract a person from the pursuit of self or truth. By Tattva Jijnasa or inquiry into truth, as presented in the Upanishads, the Shastra Vasana also has to be removed. Every once in a while, the mind is distressed, suffering through spells of sadness, of frustration, of sorrow, of anger. What we don't want to happen keeps happening again and again. So the mind keeps saying, I want to see myself as a full being, Purnaha, all the time. Well, of course, I am always a full being. That's what the Vedas say. But I forget. On a day-to-day basis, this knowledge doesn't seem to serve me. And therefore, it seems to be far removed from our day-to-day life. Our I or self can extend to our family, our religion, our community. Still, the desire or kama is always for our sake alone. And we only desire that which we know. An unknown thing is not desired. Janati, ichhati, yatate. That is the kramaha. No one can desire an object that is unknown to him or her. No one performs a kriya, an action, yatate, or undertakes a course of action without an objective in view. Whether the objective is right or wrong can only be known or inferred by the results. One may change one's view or give it up altogether for a variety of reasons. We all have done this, but what is desirable now, we will definitely seek out. That is why Sridhara says here, Yavata jiveta tavan eva kamasya labha. As long as you live, have annapanadi, eat and drink to be healthy and sustain life, then it's all right. All worldly items are meant to help us live healthy lives and refrain from indriya pritihi, the gratification of senses, through the pursuit of varieties of sensual pleasures, because there is no end to that desires. Najadu kama kamanam upabhogena shamyati habisha krishna vartmaiva bhuya eva vardhate. No desire ever gets fulfilled, even though it may be partially satisfied. Like the fire consuming ghee, which is offered in as oblation, increases, in the same way, desire increases when you fulfill it. Hence, kamasya na indriya pritihi labhaha jiveta yavata. Life's desires should never be for the sake of propitiating sense gratification. One should prefer only a healthy life or self-preservation, not overindulgence. So in everyone's life, there are choices that are non-binding in nature and other choices that are binding. So kama or choices that are binding in nature are the ones we have to be careful about. About those that are non-binding, we need not do anything because they don't bother us anyway. So those that are binding in nature are the ones that take the mind for a ride. And when the mind is indulgent, what can the senses do? As the Gita says in the 3rd chapter, 33 verse. Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakriter jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. What can control do? Even a wise person will behave according to his own nature. All beings follow their own nature. What can self-restraint do? So then how are we to tackle this issue? The answer is through Sakshi Bhavana. If you are able to merely witness objects without desiring any of them, then they cannot entrap or ensnare the senses. You simply see them in the same way as you see a sunset or waterfalls. What do you want out of Niagara waterfalls? Nothing at all. You just enjoy them from a distance, appreciating them as they are. In the same way, the senses need not create ruckus if the mind does not want anything from those objects. It is only when you want something and when that want is binding that the problem arises. For this, one must be able to withdraw the sense organs from the sense pursuits at will. Although the senses themselves are not harmful, they are referred to as the one that causes disturbance. Indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. The sense organs are indeed turbulent. I am under their spell and I am a victim of my indriyas, my sense organs. But the truth of the matter is that the sense organs are not to blame at all. They merely present information. They do not ask you to do anything. Otherwise, you could not go into a supermarket and come out without anything clinging onto you. The senses themselves are not turbulent. They are only presenting the respective sense objects because that is merely their nature. If we are able to withdraw the senses at will by practice in order to gain steadiness of mind, then the knowledge is steady and then there is nothing for us to regret. Kamasya na indriya pritihi labhaha. We should therefore indulge ourselves only to the extent of remaining healthy. And the purpose of kama is upabhoga, enough consumption to maintain good health, not overconsumptions, overindulgence. Then what is the purpose of life? The second half of the verse clarifies that. Jivasya tattva jijnasa nartho yascheha karmabhihi. The objective of life is not back-breaking work. The purpose and the summit of life's achievement is to know tattvam, tattva jijnasa, the ultimate truth. Unless you have the knowledge of truth, you will never be a pramanika or an authentic person. It is like walking in circles. When you talk without actually knowing what the truth is, you cannot discriminate accurately between dharma and adharma, punya and papa. Unless you have understood the truth of the matter, Viveka won't rise. In the same way, you need to have the knowledge about the ultimate truth as revealed in the Vedas to actually know the truth of Surga, about heaven, about self, about Bhagavan. It is only when we begin to inquire with honesty that we begin to lead a life of Satyam, of truth, live righteously with honesty, and only then we will be ready to attain the ultimate truth. We are only groping in the dark unless we attain this knowledge. That is why it is so important that we lead dharmic lives. To blindly accept someone's statement about tattvam is not right. Nothing becomes the truth just because someone has heard it from another or believed it to be so. The truth is that which is true in the eyes of Shastra, of Bhagavan. The success of life is in getting a glimpse of that truth. To know what is right in the eyes of Bhagavan, you must look deep into his eyes, meet his eyes. When your eyes show you what Krishna sees as the truth, then you will understand the ultimate truth. Krishna is known as Satchidananda Rupa because of his ability to see everything within himself, by himself, as himself. When you develop this ability to see through his eyes, you will recognize the ultimate truth. Until then, you wander in the darkness of ignorance. You will not really know whether your actions are in keeping with dharma or not. You will not know whether what you say is in keeping with satyam or truth. In fact, one cannot understand these subtle factors very easily. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. One has to strive and comprehend the nature of truth or tattva from tattvavit. Mahajanaha yena gatassa pantha. The knowers of truth, the Mahatmas, the wise men. We have to tread their path. A Mahatma is a wise person who does not run away from this world, from the challenges. Where would he or she go anyway? Having given up all binding desires, such a person continues to live in this world and he may engage himself or herself in a variety of activities. But that activity itself means nothing. The person is kutastha, meaning that he or she never changes. Other people move around because of the pressure of their desires, whereas the wise person is free from such binding, pressurizing kamas or desires. People who are impelled by desires will say, this has to be done. Only if I do this, I can be happy. So the only difference between a wise person and these people is that the wise person is motivated but not driven by his or her desires. In spite of moving around and being active in the world, there is no appreciable inner change brought about in the person either by desire or by its outcome. So, one whose mind, whose thinking enjoys a predominance of sattva guna is a Mahatma. When sattva is predominant, there is shanti or composure, viveka or discrimination, vichara, enquiry, and jnanam, knowledge. Contrary to that, rajoguna means chapalyam, fickleness, pramadhi, agitation, and so on. Therefore, yavata jiveta tavan eva kamasya labhaha. May your commitment always be to knowledge alone and not to the gratification of senses. Swastir prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahisha go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sugino bhavantu sarve bhavantu suginah sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.